Okay, second video. This will be easier. The first one was, number one, it was driving through Bangkok. Although it's freeway, so it's not so, it's kind of like driving through LA, but it's Sunday morning, there's not much traffic. So that's easy traffic, so it wasn't so bad. But the subject was artificial intelligence, AI. So, and that's hard because it was basically a note-taking, saying all the things I got to think about. This one's easier. This involves diet stuff, and what I've been kind of discovering. So there's like 2 posts on the blog, freetheanimal.com. If you're just stumbling in here and you're like, what the fuck is this? Who's this guy? Freetheanimal.com. 2 posts published in February 2023, earlier this month. And one is how do you change the weight of the water weight? It's kind of a paradoxical title, because you can't change the weight of water. No matter how many calories you add or subtract to water, the temperature stays the same. Elementary, but it's kind of for a thought thing. Then the second one post is like, is it high fat, or is it, quote, high fat, unquote? So those are the 2 prerequisites here. Now the gist of this, or the gist for you who prefer that pronunciation, is I'm at the collect the card thing, I believe. Is it collect the card, or is it, what is it? Which is it here? Is it collect the card? Oh, 20 baht. 20 baht. Alright. Okay. So, some of them you collect a card, some of them you turn in and give it to them. Anyway. So, incidentally, I like the toll booths in Europe the best. Driving Western Europe, just pop in your credit card. Takes 1 second, it's popped out. Any credit, any Visa, MasterCard, right? So you end up, when you get home, you end up with your statement. It has like 100 charges for like 50 cents to $2 or $3, on it, because it was charged in euros. Anyway, so, but it's very quick and easy there. Of course, a lot of people have the fast passes. They have them here too, where you've got the, what is it, RFID chips, and you have an account and everything. I don't drive enough to ever have justified that. Thank gosh. So anyway, back to this thing. So the gist of it is that you have 2 kinds of conservations. You have conservation of energy, conservation of mass. So it's basically equations. Energy in equals energy out. And that the energy can be in different forms and whatnot. You can also convert mass to energy. That's Einstein. That's E equals mc squared. It's a teeny bit of mass, massive energy if you are dealing with nuclear fission, splitting atoms, right? If you're dealing with chemical bonds, then it's much less energy, right? So we use calories instead of megatons of TNT. So the question is, and this was kind of broken open again by Mike Eads in his The Arrow newsletter, Substack, The Arrow, Dr. Michael Eads, author of many books, including Protein Power. He's a low-carb doc. Him and his wife, Mary Dan. I know them both personally, friends. And so Mike is proposing that conservation of mass is a better way to think of this, and in other words, the weight of the food. You can even use a ridiculous example. So if you or an extreme example, like say you eat a whole year of nothing but carbohydrates and nothing but sugar and starch for an entire year, and then you eat nothing, and someone else same rough mass and everything, and you're okay. So I missed a turn. So, here we go. All right. Anyway, I'll just keep driving. For some reason, it's not saying stuff. It's just dinging. I just keep driving. I'm heading in the general direction. So so in one diet, you're eating nothing but carbohydrate. Now, carbohydrate are 4 calories per gram, and fat is 9 calories per gram. So in other words, in terms of weight, less than half of the mass of, if you eat fat, then you eat less than half of the mass is same energy as the carbohydrate. I've got to pull a U-turn here. So say over a year, a person eating fat is going to eat hundreds of pounds less in weight in food. So so the thing is, well, what would you predict is the given same similar body composition, similar activity level, same gender, same age, eliminate as many confounding variables as possible, and come up with something. So what would you come up with? I don't know exactly, but it seems intuitive that the person that ate the fat it's getting annoying now. That ate the fat would fare better, so. For some reason, it's not talking at me. That would make this a lot easier. It's got to be annoying, that buzzing, that dinging. So, okay, now I'm back on track. I got to pay attention when it dings. It means something to do. I've got a little picture-in-picture up there, so that my navigation is like this big. It's supposed to literally the size of a postage. Okay, it looks like I'm good to go. Okay. Patya Satahik. Okay. On the right road. All right. And now to 10. Okay. have to cut some of this out, I guess. So, but here's another thing that got me to thinking, is that there is, and I've been harping on this for a long time, because my thing, when I've said why low carb makes sense when it does, is that it's because of the hierarchy and I never hear low carb docs. I always wonder, why do they never talk about this? But there is a definite inverse relationship between your body's ability to store something and the order in which it utilizes the energy when you eat it. Dietary, carbohydrate, protein, and fat. But there's one other source of energy that people consume a lot of people do, and in my last life especially, is alcohol. So whenever you are consuming alcohol, unequivocally, alcohol gets metabolized first. And if you're drinking enough to meet all of your energy requirements at the time, everything you're eating is going to storage. Every single gram of fat. Fuck insulin. Has nothing to do with it, really. What's going on is that there's no storage mechanism for alcohol. You can't store it. It's a toxin. Your body has to, it's like, stop everything, we got alcohol. And it's got to get through that before it starts. And it's energy. It is energy. Same as protein and carbohydrate, about 4 calories per gram. So you can short-term live on alcohol, fuel your energy. So it's got to do that first. Now, second, then it deals with carbohydrate, then it deals with protein, and then it deals with fats. Or you can deconstruct and you can say, ethanol, and then sugars and starches, amino acids, and then fatty acids, right? Some people think they're clever by doing that. I don't think it's clever. I think it's disintegration and unbridled deconstruction to sound smart. So that's where you're at. And now what that means is that fat is literally the easiest thing to store. The body doesn't take much work at it. Now, the whole insulin hypothesis, it's all based on a bunch of hormonal signal stuff. You eat carbohydrate, it raises your blood sugar. Insulin comes out, it stores stuff into fat cells and keeps fat from being released. Yes, those are processes. Those are metabolic processes. It goes on. It's true, right? But what's the Occam's razor way? Is the hierarchy of metabolizing, stuff in your bloodstream. How is it being utilized for energy? It's inversely proportional to its ease of storage. So the stuff that's hard to store or can't store, like alcohol, or harder to store, like carbohydrate to glycogen, or protein to lean mass, or fat to fat, or to fat to make you big, to make your clothes tighter. So fat is the easiest. So fat is like, a normal person has 10 to 20% body fat anyway, on average, right? An average normal person, 10 to 20% body fat. If you're below 10%, that's kind of not good territory. And women, because of childbearing, will be higher. They're more like, 15 to 20. So a guy typically, in optimal condition, 10 to 15. Woman, 15 to 20. Roughly. Can vary. So anyway, so when you think of it that way, then I come up with something, and I'm gonna do what I want to do here is I want to come up with some rules of thumb, or some charts, so that you can just know, you can eyeball shit and know. You don't have to weigh anything. You don't have to be calculating grams and this and da 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 da. So the basic rule of thumb is there's two rules. So the first I call like ATP AB. Always target protein, animals better, or animals best, as you prefer. Always target protein, animals best. So always be looking, every time you eat, be looking for protein being the whole point of it. I'm eating because I want protein, right? Now, you're going to get other stuff with it, right? You're going to get fat. You're going to get, almost always you're going to get fat, because meat comes with a certain percentage of fat. It's different. You can target lean protein if you want. Knock yourself out. You can target fatty protein if you want. Knock yourself out, right? Something in between, right? Or just, whatever you like, and do it that way. So, and from animals, you just are not going to get the kind of bang for your buck with plants. Don't give me the gorilla argument. If you want to be a gorilla and eat 20 hours out of 24 every day, you can knock yourself out. I hope your teeth hold out, right? At least you'll have strong jaws, right? I say, look at all these big animals that are herbivores. They eat all the fucking time. Like, all the time. I think I need to go this way. Okay. So that's the first thing, is targeting the protein. The second thing is walk off the carbohydrate. And I think that's where I think we can make something of this, because I've been testing it and it works really well. Because here's the thing, there's a propensity if you eat a I'm kind of more into this bolus dose of meal. I think probably 2 big meals a day is optimal. Don't eat in between meals. Don't eat after. Try to make the second meal as early as possible in the day. Or as early in the afternoon or evening as possible. Cut off anywhere from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Your sleep is going to be better. Tested that many times. Right. So get up, eat big, walk. And then in the afternoon or early evening, eat big again, walk. Now, how much do you walk? And you can exercise. You can do any kind of exercise, but walking is minimal. That's the minimal thing you can do. Knock yourself. You want to jump ropes. You want to do treadmill. You want to do stair stepper. You want to do any of this. You want to push some weights. Any of that stuff is good, but minimum is walking. And that's what I want to figure out, is how much, as a function of your body mass, do you increase your metabolism, your energy requirements, over steady state, like sitting on your ass watching TV, or worse, taking a siesta, an after meal siesta, right? So there's some amount. Is it 50%? Is it twice? I don't know. That's what I got to figure out. So once you know that, then we can do some things about just general weight. It doesn't have to be accurate, right? So you say, okay, there's this much carbohydrate in the meal. In my otherwise protein and fat meal, I got this much carbohydrate. If it's leafy shit, don't worry about it. right? If it's okay, so I got the thing here, and not sure what I. Oh, now I get the pass. This is get the card one. Why they can't just dispense it, I don't know. Full employment schemes. All right, so then we've got that. Then with just a little tweaking, basically, figure it out on like 15-minute intervals. Okay, so I eyeball it and kind of, is it sugar or starches? If it's sugar, what's the equivalent of teaspoons of sugar? Each teaspoon being about 5 grams sugar. Starches, like potatoes and whatnot, right? Grains, it functions of one slice of bread, that sort of thing, right? And then from there, you say, okay, you add that up, you kind of in your head add that up. Okay, I've got this much carbohydrate in the meal, like say it's 100 grams. Okay, and baseline of metabolism is this, and for my weight, I increase over baseline I'm just pulling numbers out of thin air because I haven't done the calculations yet. This is all conceptual at this point. And then because I've just been walking so much, I've thought, well, what if I actually figure this out? And I know just by looking at a meal, don't even think about the protein and fat part. Although I say just, why add a bunch of fat to it, right? A little bit, okay, whatever. But all this like, oh, I got to pour on that more fat to satiety or whatever that shit is. Just don't do it. There's no need, right? At least don't do it chronically, right? All the time, all the damn time. So then you say, okay, this much 100 carbs, that means I have to, so you do it in like whatever, and it's like, okay, that's 4 units, 15 minutes, so I got to walk an hour after my breakfast meal or my dinner, or I got to walk 30 minutes, or I only have to walk 15, or I have to walk 45 minutes, or my God, I got to walk an hour and a half. It's about 7 kilometers at an average, 4.5 to 5.5 kilometer per hour rate. I've done it many times, walked, because I used to have a route that was exactly 7 kilometers, and almost every time it was around an hour and a half, depending on how much I stop and shoot the shit with somebody or whatever. And then once knowing that, you're kind of working it backwards here. Then your whole kind of thing changes about, mealtime is the meal and the walk. Always the meal and the walk, or the meal and whatever other thing. I can imagine if you're in like really inclement climate, so some parts of the year it's really arduous or even dangerous to walk. Well, maybe you have a treadmill at home, or one of those elliptical things or whatever the hell, or do calisthenics, basic, Mark 1 Mod A calisthenics, or run in place, or jump rope, or whatever. And there's probably conversions for those on your own. But I want to do it for the basic, walking at a healthy pace, right? Not meandering walking, not power walking, and get that down. And then have a bunch of you test it out and say, look, so I've always been low carb, but I just started, okay, you don't want to go why go hog wild? That would be my question. Why go hog wild, right? So if you're eating, if you're normally keeping it to like 10 to 20 grams per meal, or 2 to 3 meals a day. Remember, the original Atkins, 60, once you get through the induction phase, the maintenance was 60 to 120 grams a day, right? So that was still considered low carb according to Atkins. There you go. I mean, I'm going to write this up, but I'll throw up this video. People can think about it. Maybe jump ahead of me and, get ahead of me and start putting some pen to paper and figuring that out. And maybe, once I do it, I haven't even done the calculation, so I could be like, it's ridiculous. If you eat appreciable amounts of carbohydrate, you got to walk for 3 hours after every meal to walk it off, if you're going to walk it off. But, any amount of walking, say over, 15 minutes or longer after any meal is not a bad idea. It's guaranteed not to hurt or harm, right? And so that's about it. Sorry for all the dings. Maybe I'll put this up and knock those out in some way, but or maybe not. Kind of like that. But, all right. Should be arriving pretty soon. Bye.